broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans!
That is a different show.
It's still a good theme song.
Figured I'd change it up.
It's still a good theme song.
Just for shits and giggles.
No worries. Maybe next time we'll have to start off with I'm Blue.
You know what?
I'm Blue. That's the one.
I don't even know. 65. Yeah. I don't even know who we are anymore.
But don't worry, guys. You're in the right place.
And neither did Lady Sif for a while.
Yeah.
For Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Exactly. We are here tonight to talk about episode 12 from season 2, Who You Really Are. Let me go ahead and introduce my fantastic panel, and if you guys could go ahead and throw your Twitter handles out there, that would be great. Jesse Klein.
Yeah, I'm Jesse Klein. You can find me at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1.
Zach Wilson.
You guys can tweet at me at @ZachWilson, ThatzachWilson.
And you guys, I'm Joyce. You can find me on Twitter at JAJOURI.
And I'm Megan. You can tweet at me at @TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. And we are also keeping an eye on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag ABTVShield so that we can keep an eye on. You can join in on the conversation. And while I have your attention, if you guys would be so kind as to, if you haven't already, go to iTunes and subscribe. Go to YouTube. Go subscribe, leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys, and it really helps us out a lot. So
That thumbs up button is like right there.
It's so close.
Easy.
And super helpful.
It's so close.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and talk about this week's episode. Guys, I want to know, what was your favorite part of this week's episode?
Oh.
I know, it's hard to pick.
I had a lot of favorite parts.
I will say one specific moment in the scene where Sky and May were fighting, and Sky was like, I didn't want to hurt you, and May looked at her like, really?
Yeah, that was really
You're
funny.
gonna hurt me?
Yeah.
Children. Kids are so cute.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, when they all realized that Sky was causing the quakes, and they all just kind of looked at her and like she was afraid. Like that was like a really real cool moment that I really enjoyed.
Like it all just clicked for them.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great moments. I loved the first time that we realized that he's a Kree.
Yeah, that was
But
cool.
I think the moment that like was just the most fun for me is this tiny little thing where Simmons just goes, Fitz, this is uncanny. And I go,
Hey!
Oh, well, if we're talking about that, then I like Sif journeying into a mystery.
yeah.
For those who don't know, that's a reference.
That's she had a comic that was Journey into Mystery where it was following her adventures and her bloodthirst.
Wasn't Journey into Mystery where they first launched Thor?
That's possible. I think I know now they're picking up because they had a Loki Journey into Mystery as well.
Yeah.
So they're using that title to kind of explore the Asgardian.
Because recently they were in like the several hundreds on the Journey into Mystery series.
I bet that's probably true.
But yeah, that and then Uncanny is like the big Uncanny X-Men, and they're about to do Uncanny Inhumans.
Yeah.
Just throwing all this
enjoyed
stuff
it.
everywhere.
It's just
Yeah.
a fun little wink to the audience.
yeah.
It's fun. I gotta say, my favorite part was just watching the fight scenes. There was some really great fighting choreography. And it was, I know it was a kind of serious moment, but it was kind of hilarious to see Sky pull the gun out on the Kree and then to just have the gun fall apart and then have that rack fall over on her. It's kind of frustrating because it's like, oh, she tried.
She really
tried
did
Like she has
try.
all the strength, and yet she's knocking herself out.
Well, and as Vintech, you have to wonder, like, oh, thank you, random earthquake. That was really convenient.
Oh, I also want to say I loved finding out that his name was Vintac because it reminds me of some sort of like industrial adhesive that you would use to like adhere two pipes together or something.
Well, Zach and I were wondering if it was Marvel.
Yeah, we were like,
Yeah.
This is such a small stage to like show Marvel.
But like like my mind instantly had like massive like movie spanning theories about they introduce him here and he goes undercover as Phil Lawson and that like because he clearly was like they were setting him up as a bad guy at the beginning so the turn that he was there for something good like
for a Kree he was not a big jerk.
No.
Like, usually the Krees are huge jerks, and this guy was.
He had a little bit of a superiority.
He was a jerk, but he was not a big Kree jerk like they usually are.
Yeah, look, we don't agree with his mission at the end of the day, but he was doing it for all the right reasons.
Yeah, he's not a Ronin.
Although his little truncheon looked like a little accuser hammer.
Like a little gravel.
It's like you went to like a baseball game and they gave out mini Ronin accuser truncheons.
It's like when you join Boy Scouts and they give you the blunt little pocket knife to like train you on before they give you the real one.
Or it's like a little Kree judicial gavel.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Instead of destroying worlds, you just can erase memories.
It is exceedingly useful.
I'm kind of worried about that nurse. Is there going to be a side show that's about a nurse who can't remember anything?
She's like a red shirt, but not a red shirt.
No, I mean that was the one kind of loose end from this because they made him, they erased his memory, and no one's going back to help her.
I guess we just have to accept that there are going to be casualties of sorts in these kind of missions.
There's some nurse
you
in
can't
Portugal.
save everybody.
And we do. I mean, in this episode, there are also no S.H.I.E.L.D. interns hanging around at headquarters anymore to clean up the messes.
That's true.
All the red shirts are gone.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Well, since we're talking about it anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the Sif and Vintech portions of tonight's episodes because we open up and Lady Sif just although I do have to say second favorite moment was just seeing Lady Sif come out of the water looking not amused at all and yet there's still a guy who has the nerve to kind of hit on her
when she's carrying her weapon.
She's got a sword and I was thinking about it, to be fair, if I saw a girl carrying a sword out of the ocean I would probably try and talk to her as well.
I mean you would talk to her because that's a story.
No, I would try and take her out on a date immediately. That would be my first reaction.
I'm with Jesse on this.
Like, what is going on?
Like that. There's a chick walking around with a sword, and their first question is, "Are you single?"
Yeah.
Look, there's clearly a good story there. At the very least, it's going to be an interesting several dates.
I agree.
You don't assume that you're going to get your or your chest caved in by a single punch, which I assume she killed that guy. He flew 20 feet.
Yeah, that man. No, he got up.
He's okay. He's okay.
He's got a mutant power.
Maybe she just knows in training how to hit a guy properly, where she like hits him in a spot that's going to send him flying, but not just break all of his ribs.
Yeah.
Well, I was impressed that after we found out that she lost her memory, like looking back, seeing her walk out of the water as confidently as she looked, like she didn't seem like she had forgotten everything. Like she just seemed like she had it together. And until we find out that she lost her memory, she tells us that she felt like a lost adolescent.
Yeah,
but not in that moment. It was pretty cool.
Well, we learned that she just had like her childhood schooling memories, which for us was extremely impressive.
Well, not short term, since she can't remember who she is.
She just like she could remember who she was. She could remember she was from Asgard. She did not know why she was on Earth.
It's like remembering basic math and grammar and everything like that.
It actually fits with scientific amnesia because usually when that does happen, people do retain most of their base knowledge because it's so ingrained over so many years that like you lose language, it's stored in a different part of the brain. You don't lose math or science because it's stored in a different part of the brain. So it makes sense. It actually fits with all the crazy magic going on around it.
Was great here.
The little memory erasing gavel. and what I really like too is that when they come in and they prove that they're allies, she's just as willing to jump in with S.H.I.E.L.D. And just the banter that they had, like with her and Coulson, like leaning in going, I don't actually know. Do I only dish out punishment to people who deserve it? Like, I want to make sure that that's okay.
So great.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish she would stay. I know that they don't part on the best terms at the end of this episode, but I really wish she would stay.
I want Sif there all the time.
After watching this episode, I would, and of course after watching both Thor movies, I would totally watch an entire sitcom about Asgardians on Earth.
Yeah.
An Asgardian sitcom. That sounds like gold.
Well, like a Warriors 3 show would be awesome. Just seeing them party, and then every once in a while, like a bad guy comes in to ruin their party, and then they stop that bad guy. Yeah.
This will not stand.
Yeah. We were drinking.
Really high stakes stuff. But when they do catch up with Vintech, we get a lot. This was a very exposition heavy episode.
God. Yeah.
But we get a lot of information that we've been speculating about for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice. Again, I know we talked about this a little bit last week when we heard the word Terrigenesis, but it's really nice to actually hear the words Kree and actually see a Kree in this episode.
It's like everything we've been talking about has been validated in this episode.
And get it confirmed that, like, the Marvel canon of, like, the Kree using the Terrigen crystals to create warriors on Earth is what they're using in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well.
I love hearing that backstory. Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about the Marvel Universe, prior to seeing the show and everything. So hearing that backstory and hearing why Kree did what they did, it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's great that we finally, because we've been speculating nonstop, and we've so many different branches that we can go.
Yeah.
At least now we have like one branch, and then
we know
the wild theories can grow even further from there. Yeah. But I can just focus on this one area.
Well, I think that's where the show really has its strength, is that whether or not you're someone who knows a lot about the Marvel Universe or this is your first jump into it, it doesn't hold hands with people who don't know anything.
Yeah.
But it still rewards people who know, like, the backstory of everything.
Yes.
And I think that's why the show is so successful.
It's got a good balance.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's accessible enough for new fans, but there are enough fun, good things for longtime fans.
Yeah.
They're also keeping close enough to the established, like, comic book canon that nobody's complaining about changes, really. It still feels familiar while still we're trying to figure it out. We're guessing. Like, we may, like, Jesse and we may know, like, okay, Black Bolt and Medusa are going to show up probably in a few years, but, like, that? But, like, where does that lead? Like,
and I don't think they're going to be on the dark side of the moon, like, which is where originally the Inhumans lived, was on the dark side of the moon. I don't think they're going to put that in their story.
It could be, like, if it's a good place to stash them if you want to. Maybe, the difference is, like, I'm thinking based on this, like, I think I agree with you, because if these obelisks are out in the world now,
which there's more than one now.
Oh my God, there's 8.
Yeah, there's 8 of them. Holy crap, where are they?
Who knows what's on the moon?
I mean, Hydra's got to have them, right?
No, because they were just, like, clamoring for the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has these? I mean,
I would assume that the our good friend the Reader and his group have the other ones.
At least one.
I feel like he would have the means to figure out where they are or to acquire them somehow.
They have to have at least one, just because what we saw last week. And we're calling him the Reader, but we don't have that.
That's not confirmed. That's purely speculation.
But
he has similar powers.
He was given the power. Like, we know he's an Inhuman. They've established that.
But there's a group of these individuals, and each of them, there's a process to them receiving their power.
Based on Sky's mom, like, what that whole conversation was, is that it was, about it's like a coming of age thing. Like, you've come of age, we trust you, you will get your Inhuman powers.
It's like normal puberty. You turn 12 or 13, and then all of a sudden you can breathe ice. Everyone went through it.
All of a sudden, you look like a porcupine.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I remember that.
Adolescence is tough for everybody.
Hair's growing places it shouldn't be, and now you've got telepathy. It's, everyone went through that.
PMS is so bad you cause earthquakes.
We've all been through it.
It's rough for everyone.
Yeah.
But so, basically the way I'm looking at it, there's 2 ways ways that this could go in terms of the bigger Inhuman story is they could just wait and be like, oh yeah, this other kingdom of Inhumans have been hanging out on the other side of the moon. Or this wave of Terrigenesis brings those people to life. And that's how, and so Black Bolt and Medusa and Lockjaw and all these guys are the new wave of Inhumans.
We better get Lockjaw.
Or
if I don't get a teleporting bulldog, then I'm upset with you, Marvel.
he'll send a very strong
that letter.
There are going to be so many italics. But or even worse is if a lot of these obelisks are still in place and are waiting to go off. And set off to go off in certain areas of the populace to create as many Inhumans as possible.
I wanted to ask, they're so confident that flooding the underwater or the underground city was a solution to not having any other Terrigen Mist events happening. Like, is that a thing in the comics where water will just not let it happen? We'll just deactivate, because they seem so confident that that's it. Nothing can happen now.
I think they're just cutting off access.
Yeah, like it's just because people. I mean, there are Inhumans that breathe water. That's
I feel like it's
one of their powers
for someone to do it successfully.
But I think it just makes it inconvenient that there is now a bunch of water in their dangerous maze.
But whatever their precautions now, flooding that city did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because there's so many obelisks.
But I'll just point out, they couldn't even figure out how to work the little truncheon hammer. Who's to say that ancient city doesn't have a button that you just press and then it seals itself and drains the water?
Fair enough.
I feel like water's just sort of like a silly little deterrent that can easily be drained and taken away.
Like the shower in The Fifth Element.
There you go. We have a comment on Twitter from Jillian Davila. I'm sorry, I can't read tonight. Where in the world is the Kree Diviner? Where in the world is...
I mean...
That's basically the show we're watching.
I assume on Hala... Or however you pronounce the Kree homeworld.
Hala, yeah.
Is it Hala?
Yeah.
Like the bread.
That's what I was thinking.
Sounds delicious.
The Diviner, like, the ones we're missing?
I think the Kree Diviner, like the character. Yeah.
It's very confusing.
I know there's so many terms. It took so long for us to remember Accuser, even though
Inquisitor.
we were like Ronan, and his full title is Ronan the Accuser, and we could not get to it. There's so much information.
And we went through Mini Hammer before we got to Gavel.
Yeah.
Our vocabulary is not on par.
I stand by baseball Mini Hammer. He went to an Oakland A's game and picked up a Mini Hammer.
But I think the bigger thing with Vintak is that he mentioned he's there not just like of his own volition, because an ancient signal was detected. So that implies that the homeworld of Hela has picked up this signal and is aware that they're active Inhumans.
Which could mean since he failed his mission, they could bring on other Kree to come down and wreak havoc.
Exactly.
And we could get the accuser. Oh my gosh.
No,
the
accuser. Pretty sure Ronan's all sorts of kind of dead right now.
Ronan's dead, but there are tons of other accusers they could send. But more, I think a bigger option is if they send Mar-Vell is the next wave, and he is the one. He comes as a bad guy. He shows up on Earth as a bad guy because he's trying to protect the Earth from themselves. That's why we thought it was Vintak, because it fit.
It does fit.
But if he comes back under a similar guise and just establishes his issues there, he's on Earth to set up Carol Danvers, who they've said is going to be the Captain Marvel of the movie,
which is going to be so awesome.
Yes.
Cool.
Carol's such an awesome character.
Wait.
Yeah, I mean, I loved seeing the whole Kava thing. We're like, what's Kava? It's a key. Turns out it's a key.
Or a stone, maybe.
Or maybe a stone.
They take this really roundabout path to Portugal.
Yeah.
I actually do really like how they set up Vintek's character and the fact, and just kind of the Kree as a whole right now, because it would be so easy to just paint them as a Ronin. Just kind of a two-dimensional villain who's so high on his own sense of self-righteousness.
Lee Pace did a great job with that character. Everyone in that movie was acting like they were in a movie, and he was doing Shakespeare in the Park. It was amazing.
It was great. But, I mean, again, it would be so easy to just paint the Kree as bad, as opposed to there was a group of people who did awful things, and now we have to take care of this problem that is going to probably wipe out life on your planet.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, BTW.
We just have to do it.
A lot of the Marvel cosmic stories are just like Kree politician fighting. So like I'm not.
It's like Game of Thrones, but in space.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that there's like a faction that like came here to get rid of all of the Terrigen crystals and like we don't want these weapons. These weapons are too powerful. But there's also a faction that probably wants to use Earth still, weaponize Earth.
Well, J.I. Lovett in the chat roll said he thought that, or they thought that Vintak was Gladiator.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I think it's Kalik.
I don't remember Gladiators. I only know him as Gladiator, but that's Shi'ar.
Is he Shi'ar?
Yeah, he's part of the Shi'ar universe, which I think is X-Men, so we can't use
so
it.
Is he Kree?
I don't know if he's biologically Kree. I think he's just like part of like.
Oh, if he's purple, I'm colorblind, so I always saw him as blue.
Yeah, I feel like he's just like part of those like the Shi'ar like the super guards. I forget the name of the Imperial Guard. Yeah.
I hate to say it, guys. We could talk all night about the Kree and speculation about what this could mean for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Thank you for controlling us.
Yeah.
I know. It's really hard, but we do have to move on with this episode. Let's talk about Simmons and Fitz and Skye, because this is a really heartbreaking dynamic going on right now, because Simmons has definitely calmed down from last week, but she's still seeing things very black and white in terms of the problem and the solution.
She still had that mentality. She might as well be Vintak's, like, I don't know, daughter or something.
You know what? She's the human equivalent at this point.
Shyamalan twist.
And it's not as bad as last week, because a lot, tensions have, gone down, and it's a little less fear-mongering, and it's a little bit more controlled and, unbiased, but it is still really uncomfortable to hear her talk that way. It is, to me, very much like the way people talk about mutants in the X-Men universe.
She took a huge, I think I said this last week, she did a huge 180, a complete 180, and her attitude is definitely not something I would expect from her. And you're right, I think she did sort of back off on that reaction that she had last week a little bit, so I mean, maybe she'll be swayed. I mean, we heard her say that, Skye's my friend, it's different, but it's like, would it really have been different? Like Fitz was telling her, like, I don't think she would have thought any differently if she knew right off the bat that Skye, is now an abomination in her eyes.
But that's the thing, it's just like any historic hatred group, is she's anti this, and then she finds out one of her friends is that thing. It's like being Jewish. It's a story I know very well. It's like you find out, like in German, a German finds out their close friend is Jewish, and then it's like, but they're different. Then doesn't that say something?
I mean, I have friends who are inhuman.
I mean, that was the story. That was the story in Poland for sure, where it was just like neighbors turning on neighbors. Yeah. But also, I mean, Simmons kind of backed off, but still was like, we've upgraded our weapons.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, isn't that a little dangerous? And she's like, maybe it is.
Maybe her extremism is just manifesting in all the projects she's been doing since last week.
Yeah, I mean,
manifesting in dangerous science.
I feel like it'll be an interesting dynamic now, because like Skye clearly cared, like she heard that argument and she was like, okay, yeah, I need to protect them from me, and like obviously like shut herself off in that power canceling room that they have.
But good for her.
Why not make the entire place power canceling?
Did you? I mean, this is also the same place where we were making jokes about their budget to repair the window.
That's true.
Just went out. The window. Sad to say.
Yeah, their window budget was real high this episode. But
they had to send all their interns home.
They did, because like you had your science division cleaning up glass. but it's going to be an interesting dynamic, because Fitz and Simmons for the first season and a half were so close. and now seeing them kind of at odds for the last season and a half.
Well, they were at odds, and then they started coming back together a little bit, and now this is dividing.
This is a huge division.
It was also clear that Fitz still had some sort of grudge against Simmons.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he used however he felt when she left as his argument, but it still came up, which means he probably still feels like super hurt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he trusted Simmons in the way that he used to, I think that he would have been able to trust her with the information that
He
Sky
would have
was
told
giving
her, definitely.
Yeah, and even if she was freaking out, I feel like he would have come clean about it because he would have trusted her to do what in his mind was the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't tell Mac before anybody else.
That's true.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
wonder if he thought he couldn't trust Mac. We
was
know
there-
there's reasons not
yeah.
to trust him now.
Yeah.
But
Was there a moment where he realized that maybe he can't
It's
trust him?
also possible just that, with it's a small it's a small
I mean,
headquarters.
Mac is super scarred from interacting with
True.
alien
That
technology.
is actually
So-
probably it.
Oh, yeah.
Mac
So I
has
think
had the
it's-
most adverse reaction
Yeah.
apart from Simmons, so he's probably like, I shouldn't tell Mac.
he did have
true.
that moment last week where
Yeah.
he sort of flipped out about the
the alien
and-
stuff. Yeah.
And it was probably a good call on Fitz's part, because when Mac does find out the truth, he's like, you should have told us. We could have been prepared so we could handle her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
as
true.
opposed to handle
So-
this situation.
Good
Yeah.
thing he didn't tell him.
Yeah, I think Fitz is
Yeah.
also, he's still running those tests, like kind of hoping he finds something.
Like an answer to it.
Yeah, an off switch of some kind.
Yeah.
That he could figure it out.
And while we're talking about Fitz, let's just talk about his hero moment today, where he used Coulson's revenge, the gun,
loved it.
on Vintac. Yeah,
Amazing.
that was really
That's
awesome.
what it does.
Yeah. It's apparently it takes down aliens is what that gun is for, and just Bobby like positioning Vintac in like this close quarters science room. We're like, why did she bring him in there?
Such a fragile room to
that-
fight in.
All
And
those
that
monitors.
awesome thing. She was like, I just wanted your attention. And then if Fitz blasts him, that was awesome. It was a cool scene.
Do
gun-
go ahead.
Well, that gun is best used when somebody's busy looking at something else.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only time that gun is ever brought out.
It's the least subtle gun.
And the most convenient.
It definitely helps.
Yeah.
But what I really loved about that in particular is that you're a couple people who are clearly on different teams, so to speak. Fitz doesn't necessarily know that.
Yeah.
But they still work well enough together to take this guy out.
Yeah.
It makes me, it's one of the more heartbreaking things about the fact that they're not all on the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, what are they?
Well, let's talk about that. But first, before we do, I want to talk to our viewers about iTunes. Folks, we said it at the top of the show. We want to say it again. Thank you so much to everybody who's gone to iTunes to rate and leave a comment. We really appreciate it. It makes our day when we read just all the wonderful things that you guys have to say. It definitely makes my day for sure.
Last week, a lot of the posts were, he's not Matt Lieberman.
Oh, no. We're very happy to have you,
know.
Jesse.
No, we have a lot of great reviews.
Yes. Do you want to read a couple off?
Yeah, we got 9 more reviews, you guys.
Yeah.
That's great.
We are up to 285 ratings.
We're almost
Oh
at
my
300.
God.
I
So
think we can make it
close.
to 300 before the season's out.
Let's get that perfect bowling score.
Yes.
And then more.
Yeah.
See more. Battlegirl Deb says, I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and listened to a couple of your podcasts, but I fell out of love with the show. Thanks to my newfound love for Agent Carter, Netflix, and your podcast, I now feel ready to become a big fan all over again. The Lore Seeker says, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after show comes back after hitting it out of the park. The show balances a great enthusiastic review of the episode at hand while balancing excellent commentary and information about the source material. The hosts are also interested in the show. You can tell they're great fans. Agent Lieberman will be missed, but we will prevail.
Indeed.
Keep Stephen T 1000 says keep up. I don't trust you, Stephen T 1000. But I do like your review. Keep up the good work. Love the chemistry, intuitiveness, and everything. Long live AfterBuzz TV.
Yay!
SoulMed411. Best thing next to the show itself. 5 stars. I always look forward to the podcast to hear the things I missed after every episode. Keep up the good work. James RE74. AfterBuzz helps me figure out what I missed, and the hosts are the funniest panel on AfterBuzz.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ronnie J, the power of friendship. 5 stars. So glad to be with this panel again. The mid-season premiere was amazing. Don't be too hard on Simmons. She's traumatized right now. That's all.
Fair enough.
Long review, but I want to give a shout out to everybody. So thank you for your review, Johnny Ray. Ronnie J. Michael B85. Bobby and Mac have to be working for Sword. And I think we're going to throw out some. Everyone in the chat roll, everybody has said the words like, I think Bobby and Mac are working for Sword. And we'll discuss it.
Does
Don't
anybody
worry.
have a theory that's not Sword?
Well, they
should be different.
They could be
out
Skrulls.
I have theories that are not Sword. But,
and also Maria Hill.
Anyway, to get back to the
T-Tang987. After loving Agent Carter and deciding to binge on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's nice to have people to reflect on the events of the show with. This podcast is great for this reason. It's a great ensemble of hosts with bubbly personalities that always brightens my day.
Very bubbly.
Ash Marie XOXO. Welcome back, agents. So happy that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is back, and so is the after show. The second half of the season going to be awesome. Yes, that is my prediction. I can't wait for all the after shows being awesome as well. Glad to have you back.
Aw, thanks everybody.
Great.
Thank you,
guys.
All of you guys, awesome.
They're so nice.
15
So
to
cool.
go.
We can make it to 300, everyone.
We can do it.
And it's thanks to you guys leaving your comments that we were able to get sponsors to help keep the lights on. And it really means the world to the people behind the scenes who put on over 100 hours of free content for you each week. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much. We can make it to 300.
Oh, we can.
Andrew Fedge says, I
This
don't
is
trust
Sparta.
Jesse. I think he's Leviathan.
What?
We just need you to focus.
Focus.
Focus on Jesse.
Listen, I promise you Matt Lieberman is safe.
He's very safe.
Very safe.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about Hunter and Bobby and Mac, because, again, another really heartbreaking dynamic in
my
this
God.
episode. So let's just go ahead and say it. Sword. Sword is the main theory, that Mac and Bobby are secretly working for the Sword organization.
My only maybe hesitation on it is Beast from X-Men. It was heavy in Sword, and so it might be wrapped up in Fox rights.
I would doubt it, just because the bulk of that storyline is not, like, he may have been a founder, but that's not purely an X-Men thing.
And he and Abigail Brand were like a couple for a long time.
But just
and
like Kitty, right now, Kitty Pryde is dating Star-Lord.
That's true.
In the books, so there's no concern there.
Kitty Pryde dates everyone.
She dated Spider-Man in the Ultimate
awesome.
Universe. So again, who dates
Jewish
who
superhero.
is less, and founders aren't really as important either.
That's true.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a rights issue, but I lean away from Sword because, one, I think it's way too big for a television show just yet.
Yeah.
I think there's way more to do on Earth. I don't think you even think about Sword until Infinity War is done.
Yeah.
So to explain for the people who might not know what Sword is, basically there's an organization with the acronym Sword that is basically like S.H.I.E.L.D. but for space.
Well, it's to protect from alien threats, basically.
Yeah. They established Sword to actively engage any spacers, which is why after Infinity War makes the most sense, because yes, they've already started to deal with alien threats, but Infinity War is like oh man, we got a lot of stuff to deal with. There's a lot of
threat in the universe.
So I stray away from that. My current theory is that Bobby and Mac are working with a coalition of Maria Hill and Talbot.
Okay.
Who are working together to get Maria Hill back in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that will and S.H.I.E.L.D. then, when that happens, falls under U.S. government
Because they
control.
said they wanted to take down what they were a part of now.
Yeah.
Which is Coulson's team. I mean, not take down, but they wanted to just
integrate
Yeah.
it, I suppose.
So bringing it into the U.S. military
I think that
makes
works.
sense.
I think that works quite a bit. Maybe Marie
like
Hill,
that theory.
Talbot, and Iron Man. Like just to show,
Just a
just to
cameo.
add. I want some spice. I want some spice in that soup.
I would like to believe that because their intentions seem to be good. They don't want to kill everybody on Coulson's team. Like
Everybody?
No.
well, and even Max said he's like, maybe there's a world where we're all friends at the end. That's probably overly optimistic with whatever they're planning on pulling the trigger on, as he said. But he's hoping, or at least that they all make it out of this in some capacity.
Plus, the reason I latch onto that is that if Maria Hill gets back in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end of this season, let's say, we spend the beginning of next season dealing with all of that
new
fallout.
drama.
What does that do to Coulson, to Skye, as Quake? How does that affect everyone in our show with Maria Hill in charge? That leads us right into next May's Civil War, which in the books, Maria Hill being in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a huge plot point.
It's a very big part of Civil War.
I see her way more decisive in terms of controlling superhumans, as opposed to Coulson, who's very much on the superhuman side.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great setup for it because I feel like Maria Hill is kind of famous for being cutthroat in the book. So like having her in that Civil War, which she's a huge part of, and like setting up how much of a cutthroat she is, would be a great kind of like backstory when the movies come out.
Yeah, and her versus Coulson would be a great.
That in and of itself is an ideological war.
I mean, let's just get some Colby Smulders in there.
I'm
okay with that.
Yeah.
She's fantastic as Maria Hill.
Yeah. The thing that, again, with going back to Bobby and Max specifically, is that they know how it feels to be betrayed. They were on S.H.I.E.L.D's side when Hydra came out, so it makes me think that, again, they feel a little hypocritical, but that what they're doing they feel is right. It's not like mustache twirly or anything like that. To them, it is the right thing to do.
And perhaps they have a plan to maybe soften the blow, and they kind of have to tell everybody what they're doing.
Yeah. Also, look at their timeline of joining. Neither one of the two of them have been there for a while. They both came in post-Hydra dropout. Not that they weren't S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but they came
we
on
don't
Coulson's
know
team.
what happened to them in the interim after Hydra came out and before they met up with Coulson.
Also,
we don't know what happened to them.
Also, this is 2 episodes without Ward, and I don't really miss him.
I forgot about him. Oh my goodness. No, completely. How sad.
Well, no, the show has so much going on.
Yeah.
If something, falls on the back burner, it's very easy to forget about because there's just so much being thrown at us, especially in an episode like this where there's tons of exposition and backstory.
Yeah.
I like that, though. I like him being away for a little while because when he comes back, it gives him time to have done something crazy, like put on a skull mask and a white trench coat.
He's got
Again, theory there?
I'm saying Taskmaster constantly.
Taskmaster has a superpower though, which Ward does not.
Maybe he's
Not
inhuman.
yet.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. His power of like figuring out what people can do.
Yeah.
You could. I think you could pare down into just a very
Really
very
good.
skilled human.
I
Could you guys
guess.
picture Brett Dalton in a costume, though?
Yes.
I think so.
I'm just picturing him with like an evil villain cape.
I think Ward is like closer to being like USA agent or someone like that, who's kind of like a good guy, but like super military good guy, kind of gets things done.
Speaking of Ward, looking back on the last time we see Skye in this episode when she walks herself into the quarantine room,
Yeah.
that was very like. I don't know if symbolic is the right word, but I mean, it must have been so hard for her, like, to put herself there, just because she was there, like, or she knew that Ward was there for so long because he was so bad for so long, and now she thinks that she's kind of on that side, even though she didn't ask for it, and she can't control it right now.
Well, even before she locked herself away in there, where did they go when Lady Sif was after them? They went into the holding cell where Ward was.
Exactly, where he was held basically not prison, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, he was held prisoner because he's a bad person.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, she's kind of in his shoes, and I'm not saying she's going to understand where he comes from, but I mean, it was very symbolic.
He might use this to his advantage later on and be like, "Oh, you're in oh, now you know
It's
how
like the
it
tables have
feels.
turned for you.
Look, we're more alike than you think.
Yes.
See, they shut you away."
Prediction right there. That's my prediction.
Also, we learned that force field is not sword proof.
Not Asgardian sword.
Yeah, not
Clearly
an
not.
Asgardian sword proof. Whatever that force field is made out of, it's not tough if Lady Sif is on the other side of it.
It was impressive that it held up that long.
Yeah.
Lady Sif.
Anytime the Asgardians come in, there's just tons and tons to clean up afterwards.
all of our ideas of what's strong and what is not strong get thrown to the side.
Exactly. But with, again, going back to Ward, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he comes back into the story, because the last time he and Skye saw each other, she put a couple rounds in him.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
I don't know if you still maintain a crush after that, or if that's like, I respect you.
Oh, the old
mean-
respect crush.
I think for Ward, the bullets are a turn on.
Yeah, he likes that chaos.
Yeah,
He likes it rough.
Only I could tame her.
I'm not going to argue with any of this.
No, Ward doesn't want to tame her. He's like, yeah, bring it on.
Shoot me more.
Well, just the one thing out of that particular storyline that I do feel bad about is Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I feel so bad for Hunter.
There's this whole plot point in this episode talking about Hunter and how kind of being on the same team as Bobby is really good for their relationship. And she's not on that team. And
You know
Literally.
nothing, Hunter.
Yeah.
Never say how good it's going.
Yeah.
Why? But I mean, he knew that there was no support group. I mean, I'm assuming he knew that after they slept together, while they
Yeah.
were sleeping together. Why wouldn't he maybe question her again or confront her again before like saying all this nice
it
stuff?
was-
Well, no,
to
it was
her?
after that he figured it out, right? It was something they said to each other in the hall.
Oh, the backup.
yeah,
Yes, the back.
and
Okay.
this is after their confrontation because she starts pushing him away at Mac's behest.
Yeah.
And so he clearly sees something's up, and he's a smart guy. He
Yeah.
can put two and two together, and that's why he confronted Mac and not her.
Yeah.
Because he knew he wasn't going to get any answers out of her. It was just going to be
And he
more-
was probably going to, become a little softy if she lied to him again, and he'd believe it, or he'd want to anyway.
Yeah, he couldn't trust himself with any
Yeah.
information that she gave him.
And then Mac, nonviolent Mac, put him in the old sleeper
sleep hold.
hold.
I mean, at
Yeah.
least it was a sleeper hold, and that we didn't hear a snap.
Yeah.
We were concerned for a
don't
moment.
believe in violence, my butt.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch.
Start checking your refrigerators, Shield, for Hunter.
Yeah, what do you guys think he does with Hunter's... I
don't know.
Like, now he's passed out and he's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because, the cat's about to come out of the bag. He
I'd
doesn't want
say-
to hurt Hunter.
I say he'll drag him to his sleeping quarters and just let him sleep it off.
Be like, Max
and when he
Hunt-
wakes up, he'll be like, "Oh, good morning. So
Pour a
nice
bottle
to
of
see
scotch
you."
on him and be like...
They got rid of the really convenient memory destroying device,
know,
so
right?
like they can't use
Which
that
they
on
What
him.
he'll
used
do, he'll get a
on-
bottle of rum.
Yeah.
So no one will believe your crazy story.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love how they used the little hammer thing on
On Vintech.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
That was a nice full circle way
Yeah.
to end that.
He's like, "I will stand guard."
I love hearing the way the aliens on the show
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. That's why I want an Asgardian sitcom. Anyway, guys, we are running a little short on time, but we have some news to talk about today.
Oh yeah.
So I think we
news.
should talk a little news and gossip.
Let's do it.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So Daredevil. That's a thing that happened today.
Daredevil!
Daredevil trailer dropped.
What did you guys think?
Soup's dark.
Yeah, it looks pretty fantastic.
I mean, I can't remember which writer it was. Somebody had described it. They were like, it's Batman without the money, is how
Yeah.
they're approaching
Oh.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
I'm a fan already.
Yeah, well, it looks like, I mean, such a big part of Daredevil is the character of Hell's Kitchen. And so, like, I think that's what they're really going for. They're, like, establishing Kingpin. It looks like it's almost like an origin story for Kingpin and the Daredevil at the exact same time.
Like it's kind of like Gotham, only not quite.
Yeah, but better. And,
Yeah, Gotham, but
I'm
if,
talking
like,
premise-wise.
Yeah.
Batman was, like, a person.
Yeah, it looks and like we see some Foggy Nelson, we see some Matt. We're gonna get a lot of lawyering. There's a chance we could maybe get some She-Hulk cameo action going on.
Oh my God! If we meet
Great.
Jessica Drew,
really cool.
she's just like a normal person.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
If there was a lady lawyer wearing a purple miniskirt, I'll go insane. But yeah, it looks awesome. I'm okay with like the Dread Pirate Roberts look for Daredevil. I know it's not his like original suit, but it's okay.
I mean, it's a good makeshift one for somebody who's in the early stages of being a superhero.
Yeah, it'll be good for like the first couple episodes, and then it'll be the big reveal in like 3 or 4 when he walks out in his red suit.
His coach will be like, "Look, you're playing like a champion. Now it's time to look like a champion." Mighty Ducks 3 style.
But you're right. I love that they're setting up Kingpin in this, because it means that we're going to see his journey as he really takes over this world, and because we have 4 more Netflix miniseries to go already, and who knows if they're going to pick up like season 2s of any of these. Like we'll get Kingpin showing his face in Jessica Jones. Probably a bigger part of Luke Cage. I think Luke Cage could be like working for Kingpin before he turns over a new leaf.
And that's the wonderful thing about the fact that all these shows are dropping on Netflix and that all of these take place within the MCU, because Kingpin is such a pivotal Marvel villain. He has his hands in so many different projects, I suppose you could say. And he's Daredevil's main antagonist, but he causes all sorts of havoc for a ton of superheroes. So I think
not havoc though. You're not allowed to use it.
No.
Pretty much anyone who operates in New York has to deal with Kingpin.
We need a buzzer every time we say an X-Men word. Be like, oh, we can't say that.
They definitely have it like in the writer's room.
Oh, sure.
Like, stop it! No mutant talk.
What's your favorite member of the Musculid family? Wolverine. No!
Oh, I just got put in my place by Ron Corleone because I said Jessica Drew, which is Spider-Woman.
That is Spider-Woman.
I was reading Spider-Woman earlier today. So I was confused.
Guys, it's late. None of us caught it. We apologize.
But Spider-Woman would be awesome.
Put her in there too.
Yeah, please do.
Why not?
And that can segue into the new Spider-Man film.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we also have a little bit of other, not necessarily news, but something kind of news.
Like there was like an interview with people involved with Agent Carter, and they talked about what a possible season 2 for Agent Carter would look like.
Cool.
Nothing confirmed yet.
Confirmed, but apparently it would be like the adventures of her and Stark in Hollywood in the 1950s.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. So I'm guessing
like that idea.
I'm guessing a lot of Stark hooking up with celebrities
and theoretically meeting his wife.
Yeah. Angie, who's an actress.
Yeah, I want it to be Angie. Oh, it means Angie gets to go with them.
Yeah, she's an actress. Why wouldn't she go to Hollywood?
And with Stark, Jarvis, Peggy, and Angie, it would be great. It would be a fun little sitcom. They'd do the Fantastic Four.
Please do it.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that does it in terms of news and gossip. And I know we've been speculating a lot.
Pretty much this entire episode.
Pretty much this entire episode. But I want to move into predictions for our very next episode.
Right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, it looks like Hyde's back with his little Legion of Doom, or Sinister Six, if we're being more world appropriate.
Yeah, it looks like...
I don't know if they can say that yet.
Yeah, I don't know if they can say it yet.
They've signed the deal.
Dude, do we need to get Sony's permission before we say Sinister Six?
Probably do.
Yeah.
Or, Brotherhood.
Okay,
No, we can't use that yet. That's X-Men.
I was looking at Serpent Society.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the way that one guy's jaw came apart,
So
and like
creepy.
that's very
creepy.
snake-like.
Yeah.
And the lady with the fingernails.
Like the razor
claws.
fingers?
I know that those actually look really sharp, but I can't just help but think of that Family Guy
With
episode
Meg.
with Meg. Ow! I mean, it's not bleeding, but ow!
That's really funny. I think Mac is going to leave the group. He's going to join up with an Inhuman who can use aged dairy products. And they're going to start a show called Mac and Cheese.
Are you on a friends roll right now?
I've just been sitting on that for a while. I'm sorry.
I'm still waiting for Deathlock to come back. It's
be
not
awesome.
going to happen anytime soon, but I want it.
Where did he go?
Deathlock would be awesome.
I mean, it is supposedly like a team of villains.
Yeah.
I would love it if just in the middle of one of these episodes he just comes in and power kicks somebody.
Also, Absorbing Man was involved.
Well, he's gonna be. Supposedly he's going to appear in Jessica Jones.
Oh, cool.
Or maybe he's going to appear on one of the Netflix series.
Awesome.
Sadly, guys, we are officially out of time. Jesse Klein, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1. You can find me all around the Los Angeles area doing live comedy.
I have to give a shout out just because everyone in the chat room, we forgot to ship Sky and Fitz at the
we did forget to ship Sky and Fitz.
Skits, which is great because they're both little nuts right now.
I like it. That is a good ship name. We apologize, chat. Usually we're more ship happy.
Yeah, my goodness.
Wait, real quick. We were shipping, oh my gosh, Bobby and Sky, right?
No, Bobby and Sif.
Bobby and Sif.
Bobby and
That's
Sif.
true.
That is just a dangerous power couple.
Biff.
Myth with Mike Mockingbird.
Anyway, we're running short.
Okay, guys, I'm Zach Wilson. You can tweet at me at that Zach Wilson, ThatZachWilson. You can also join me on Tumblr for comic book reviews and other shows here at AfterBuzz, a bunch of them.
Cool. And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JAJOURI, and on the Sunday night Walking Dead and Shameless podcast, and Gotham when it comes back. No talking crap about Gotham.
You tell him, Joyce. And I'm Megan. You can follow me on Twitter at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. Oh, I think my mic finally turned on. And I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I've also started writing articles for the Movie Chick. That's CHIKK. So CKK, if I can't even spell. So check that out when you get the chance. Folks, thank you so much again for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody on the live chat, everybody on Twitter. We love hearing from you guys. So thank you guys again. We will see you all next week.
The
Bye.
Best.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.